What is up, heroes? This is MidniteZer0 and welcome back to Heat of the Week. This is going to be week number 8 and we have a solid amount of heat this week. Before we do get into this week's heat, I do want to give a shout out real quickly to Togetic from Duncan Knee Deep last week. Really cool Ancient Power set with Baton Pass. A little bit controversial with regards to the rules and everything, so I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to touch on it, but it also did just kind of slip my mind. So I want to say sorry for not mentioning that. Definitely a really cool set worth talking about. And now, with that said, let's move on to this week's heat, and we do have a solid amount of it, so without further ado, let's hop into Latios from Professor Willow, coach of the United Kingler. Now, this Latios is really cool. Typically, when you think of Latios, you think of Life Orb, special attacking, maybe Surf, T-Bolt, maybe Earthquake, Hidden Power Fire, Defog, Draco Meteors, all that cool stuff. Maybe even a really Heat Dragon Dance physical set. But what you do not see, what I've never seen before, is a Darkinium Z Memento Latios set. Now, from the team builder that I saw, or at least from the explanation I do have, this Latios was really meant to just break things down, to wear things down, to hit, special walls with Dragon Claw, to hit all of the physical mons with Draco Meteor, to absolutely nuke something with Draco Meteor, to hit something that thinks it might be able to set up with Dragon Claw, or to, if it's not going to take any damage from Dragon Claw or Draco Meteor, or try to set up itself and pose a big threat, hit it up with a Toxic, put it on a timer. And then once Latios has been completely exhausted, once it, has already dropped its special attack doing Draco Meteors, it can't do anything to Dragon Claw, it's already, status the opposing Pokemon with Toxic, and rather than allow the opponent to set up, Latios can actually support one of Professor Willow's own Pokemon setting up, something like a Dragon Dance Mega Gyarados, or the like, or help get a lot of initiative with that Darkinium Z, Z Memento, which would lower the opponent's special attack and attack by 2 stages, while fully healing whichever Mon came in place of Latios's life. So this is a very cool, in my opinion, support Latios that I've never seen before, never seen this sort of a setup. Sadly, it didn't really get to do much during the match itself. It just kind of was fodder for the Vikavolt. But yeah, I really wish it could have done something, because it definitely would have been neat to see. Alright, moving on to the next Mon, we've got Zapdos from Papa C, coach of the New York Clinks. And this particular Zapdos is pretty cool because it's very defensive. It's mixed defenses. It's got max HP, max def, but a bold nature, boosting that defense. Probably to help out with the various threats that Swami has on his team, whether it's Volcarona or now Wishy-Washy, Tyranitar, Excadrill, helping out with all of those. According to Papa C, the Thunderbolt is there primarily to hit as a really solid stab move on just about anything except for those ground types, of course, and in particular to hit that Wishy-Washy. And the bold nature is there because definitely don't want to reduce that special attack stat to, weaken those really powerful, or hopefully powerful, Thunderbolts to hit Mons, something like Wishy-Washy that can set up right in its face potentially if it's not hitting it hard enough. And the rest of the moves, though, are pretty interesting. We got Drill Peck and U-Turn. And Drill Peck is a pretty cool call because despite having a negative attack nature, it actually 2-hit KOs Volcarona. And why Drill Peck over something like Hidden Power Rock? Well, according to Papa C, Drill Peck is more important because as Volcarona potentially Quiver Dances, those Hidden Power Rocks, which are also 2-hit KOs, eventually become 3-hit KOs, and so forth, and give the Volcarona more chances to set up and potentially do more damage to Zapdos or earn itself a sweep, whereas Drill Peck will always be doing the same regardless of the Quiver Dances, although it does have a chance to get hurt by Flame Body, or get burnt by Flame Body, and then of course have its damage. But, yeah, it still makes sense. And then of course U-Turn is there because all of the ground types, quite frankly, and Excadrill is pretty essential to Swami's team, who Papa C was going up against, so it makes sense to ensure that you'll get that momentum by going for something like U-Turn, and then of course Roost for recovery. Next up, we've got Latias. Now, yes, we have Latios and Latias making Heat of the Week this week. This is Latias is going to be from the Exception coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and this is a pretty cool Latias. It's max HP, and it's got a little bit of defense. The HP is there, so it takes hits pretty well. It's got max special attack to hit some, well, really one Mon in particular hard. This is a pretty hard Chandelure counter. The Queso Berry is there to reduce super effective ghost type damage, and the HP and the special attack allow it to OHKO Chandelure while not getting 2-hit KO'd by Shadow Ball from Scarf Chandelure, which is a really neat setup. It's a really great counter and a lure, in my opinion, for Chandelure to help take out that massive threat. Toxic is there primarily for Milotic, and the Hidden Power Poison is there for Tapu Bulu, which otherwise probably thinks it's in the clear against something like Latias. So this is very much a lure Latias that is really cool. Sadly, it didn't get to do as much as it would have liked to during the matchup, which is why it's, sitting at number 3, but still impressive set and a really cool team building design on the Exceptions part. So good stuff to the Exception. And yeah, moving on to the next mon, incorporating something new, we've got Tyranitar. Now you're gonna notice there is a video clip over on the right here, and in particular, if a mon puts in work, I want to show off those sorts of clips. And shout out to Professor Willow for suggesting something like this. Now, in particular, the mons up to this point have been really cool in theory, but didn't really get to do much. But Tyranitar is one of those mons that is really cool in theory and got a good chance to do something during the match. So what this Tyranitar did is, it's pretty much exactly what the set says. It's a Rock Polish Life Orb special attacking Tyranitar, which is a really neat set, a really heat set in my opinion. It's got, max special attack, Earth Power, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, and Rock Polish. And it's really cool because it's also a lure for Gligar, which is one of the things that would really hurt a potential Excadrill sweep. So it's really used to lure that in, take that out, and pave the way for Excadrill, which it already has great synergy with, to essentially win the game from there on out. The speed and the special attack are there to, hit as hard as possible and outspeed relevant threats at +2, and HP, of course, is for bulk. And with that said, before we get into the heat of the week, I do want to make a couple shoutouts to some honorable mentions from this week. The first of which is going to be Coach Radioactive of the Iowa Hawluchas and the Eject Button Delphox. I wasn't 100% sure exactly what the aim of this set was. It didn't get to do a lot of work in the match. I imagine there was some sort of theory behind it that was really cool, and I wanted to hear about it, but I never really got that information. But, really cool in theory, not 100% sure exactly what I was going for, but would have liked to. Another thing was Swami Spadef Super Fang Mew. To me, Super Fang Mew is actually really cool. It's pretty heat in and of itself. It has become a little bit more standard now in this league in particular, which is why you haven't seen it thus far. Also, Jodor this week brought Hydro Vortex Rotom. Rotom is not typically used very offensively, so to see something like Hydro Vortex on it is pretty neat. And then, of course, Metal Burst Sableye, which is now showing to be a relatively favorited liked set by Jodor to hit those fairy types that want to come in on Mega Sableye. And then we've also got Assault Vest Alomomola. You very rarely see an Assault Vest Alomomola. I think it had Scald, Aqua Jet, Knockoff, and Miracle. Miracle would have been really cool. Sadly, it was set up on because of Miracle in the match that it was in. But Aqua Jet played a pretty important role in crippling Dan or A-Drive's Infernape, which is pretty cool. And yeah, that's all we have for the honorable mentions this week. If there is something else I mentioned, didn't mention, just let me know. And if you guys did watch all of the matches, you probably know then what the heat of the week is. The heat of the week for week number 8 is going to be Cleon, coming from Swami, coach of the Colorado Rapidash. Swami, of course, has become the king of heat of the week, really, in my opinion. But this is a pretty cool Cleon set. It's got plenty of attack to do a lot of damage with its Shadow Sneak, Knockoff, Drain Punch. Those physical attacking is not too crazy there, but it's also got 60 special attack EVs for that Icy Wind. And what's really cool is Icium Z Icy Wind. So we're talking about a Sub-Zero Slammer that has a 63% chance to OHKO Gligar if it's Fizz Def, and does a 93% minimum, and Shadow Sneak does a 9% minimum to max Fizz Def Gligar. So this is a solid Gligar counter, which I mentioned before was one of the big obstacles to a sweep from Excadrill, so it was really important to take that out. Sadly, it didn't get to use the Sub-Zero Slammer on Gligar. It only did minimal damage to Blastoise, but it was really cool to have such a set and have such incredible team prep in that sense. It also got to get a kill on Alakazam with Shadow Sneak, and it got to knock off some leftovers on Blastoise, get some good damage in, support the team a bit. And yeah, regardless of, maybe how much work it put in as opposed to something else like, a Vikavolt sweep or like an Excadrill sweep, those are relatively standard sets. This mon put in a decent amount of work, it supported the team, and it was really cool in theory craft, and it's definitely not something you see every day. So definitely the heat of the week. in my opinion. Let me know, of course, what you guys think about this Heat of the Week this week. If there are any sets that I missed, if there's any one in particular that you would have reordered, if there's one, if you agree with me in particular, and if you would have changed something, if there, is a mon you saw that you have your own Heat set for, let us know in the comment section below. I look forward to reading those eventually, and I hope you guys are looking forward to the battles coming up this weekend, and of course, more Heat. But until then, this has been MidniteZer0, and this mission is complete.